Most people have been reciting Friday night prayers for years, and no one told them these words contain the exact wealth consciousness that modern millionaires are now paying thousands to learn. I'm Rabbi Shimon. I'm 83 years old, and what I'm about to share with you will change how you understand prosperity forever. There's a prayer we recite every Friday night at sundown. It's called Kiddush. Most people think it's just about blessing wine and bread, but hidden inside this ancient prayer is a wealth principle so powerful that Silicon Valley executives, Wall Street traders, and business consultants are now teaching it in seminars for $5,000 a seat. They call it abundance mindset. They call it manifestation. They call it wealth consciousness. We've been calling it Shabbat for 3,000 years. Before I reveal this, like this video if you're ready to unlock what your ancestors knew. Then comment these 3 words: I claim abundance. When you write that, you're activating something ancient. You're making a declaration in the spiritual realm that shifts your positioning. And subscribe, because I'm revealing Torah secrets that most rabbis never teach this way. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Now let me tell you why you need this. You work hard, you pray, you give, you do everything right, but the money doesn't flow the way it should. You're always one emergency away from crisis, always catching up, never getting ahead. The debt doesn't shrink, the savings don't grow, the opportunities don't come. You're tired of struggling while watching others prosper effortlessly. You wake up calculating. How much is left? What's due? What can wait? You go to sleep worrying. That tightness in your chest when you check your bank account, it never goes away. That shame when you can't afford what you need, it's always there. That embarrassment when you have to say no to your grandchildren, it cuts deep. And it affects everything. Your peace is gone. Your joy is stolen. You can't fully rest because the financial pressure never stops. You can't be fully present with family because your mind is always running the numbers. You can't dream about the future because you're too busy surviving the present. And you've tried everything, haven't you? Budgeting apps, side hustles, extra shifts, prayers for provision, tithing faithfully, declaring scriptures over your finances, working longer hours, asking for raises, cutting expenses to the bone. Nothing fundamentally changes. The same cycle repeats. It's not because you lack faith. It's not because God doesn't love you. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're operating in scarcity consciousness 6 days a week, and 1 day of rest doesn't reprogram what the other 6 days reinforced. You're trying to build wealth from a foundation of lack, and that foundation determines everything. Let me take you back to Mount Sinai. Moses is receiving the 10 Commandments. The mountain is shaking. Thunder and lightning fill the sky. The people are trembling at the base of the mountain. God's presence is so overwhelming that Moses has to go up alone. God gives 9 commandments about behavior. Don't murder. Don't steal. Don't commit adultery. Honor your parents. Don't lie. Don't covet. These are moral instructions. These are about how to treat others. But the 4th commandment is different. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work. This isn't about morality. This isn't about how you treat other people. This is about consciousness. This is about wealth. This is about how you position yourself to receive. Here's what most people miss. The word Shabbat comes from the Hebrew root shavat, meaning to cease, to stop, to rest. But it doesn't just mean stop working physically. It means stop the consciousness of lack, stop the mindset of scarcity, stop the belief that your provision depends entirely on your effort. 6 days a week, you operate in a world built on scarcity. Resources are limited, time is limited, money is limited, opportunities are limited. You work because you need to survive. You labor because you lack. You hustle because you're afraid. Every action is driven by the consciousness of not enough. But on Shabbat, you stop. Not just physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. You enter a different consciousness entirely. For 25 hours you live as if everything is already provided. You don't work because you don't need to. You don't strive because you don't lack. You feast, you rest, you celebrate, you enjoy. This is the secret that wealth gurus are now discovering. Menucha, the Hebrew word for Shabbat rest. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It doesn't mean laziness. It means entering the consciousness of completion, of sufficiency, of abundance already present. It means living from fullness rather than chasing after it. When you bless the wine on Friday night, you say, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Stop right there. Notice the verb, creates, present tense, not created once long ago in the beginning, creates now, continuously, constantly. Abundance is not a past event that happened in Eden. It's a present reality happening right now. When you bless the bread, you say, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Again, present tense, brings forth. Not brought forth at creation, brings forth now, right now, this moment. Provision is continuous, not occasional. The earth is still producing, God is still providing. The flow hasn't stopped. This is consciousness training. Every Friday night, you're reprogramming your mind. Abundance is present tense. Provision is continuous. The source never runs dry. Let me show you what modern wealth teachers discovered by accident. In Exodus 16, the Israelites are in the wilderness. They're complaining. They're afraid they'll starve. And God says, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. Every morning, manna appears on the ground. Every person gathers exactly what they need for that day. But here's the instruction. Don't gather extra. Don't hoard it. Don't try to save it for tomorrow. Trust that tomorrow's provision will come tomorrow. Most people try to save it anyway. Fear does that. Scarcity consciousness does that. And the manna they hoarded? It rotted. It bred worms. It became worthless. But on Friday, God gave different instructions. Gather double, because on the Sabbath there will be no manna on the ground. You will rest. Here's the key. The double portion came on Friday because they stopped trying on Saturday. The abundance came because they ceased striving. The provision multiplied when they entered rest. And the manna they gathered on Friday, it didn't rot. It stayed fresh through the Sabbath. The same thing that spoiled when hoarded in scarcity consciousness stayed fresh when gathered in Sabbath consciousness. This is what wealth gurus now call receiving mode versus chasing mode. They teach you to spend 1 day a week not pursuing, not hustling, not grinding, just receiving, just trusting, just being. They say this reprograms your nervous system, shifts your energy, changes your frequency. We've been doing this for 3,000 years. We call it Shabbat. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it. The Hebrew word there is etzev, painful toil, anxious labor, scarcity-driven striving, work that comes from fear. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, but not through that consciousness, not through that energy. Psalm 127 verse 2 says, in vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves. The striving doesn't produce, the rest does, the trust does, the Shabbat consciousness does. Now let me tell you about David. He's 54 years old. He owned a small consulting business, worked 80-hour weeks for years, 7 days a week, always behind on bills, always stressed, always striving. Revenue was stuck. Clients were demanding. He was exhausted and broke. He came to me. Rabbi, I need a miracle. I need financial breakthrough. I looked at him and said, When was the last time you rested? He said, I can't afford to rest. I have to work. I said, that's exactly why you're stuck. I taught him this principle. I said, start keeping Shabbat, Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. No work, no email, no phone calls, no hustling, just rest in abundance. Live for 25 hours as if you're already wealthy. He resisted. Rabbi, I can't afford to take a day off. I'm barely keeping the business alive. If I stop working, I'll lose clients. I'll fall further behind. I said, your scarcity consciousness is blocking your provision. The striving is repelling what you're chasing. You need to stop. He finally committed. For 3 months, he observed Shabbat strictly. Friday afternoon, he shut down his computer. He turned off his phone. He set his table with real dishes, real candles, real wine. He blessed the bread and wine as if he were a wealthy man. And for 25 hours, he refused to think about work, clients, money, or problems. The first month, nothing changed externally. His revenue was the same, his stress was the same, but he noticed something different internally. Sunday through Friday, he worked with less anxiety. He made decisions from clarity instead of panic. He stopped desperate discounting. He stopped chasing bad fit clients. By month 2, 2 major clients he'd pursued for years suddenly signed contracts, big contracts, more revenue than the previous 6 months combined. He didn't chase them on Shabbat. He didn't email them on Saturday. They called him on Monday. By month 3, his revenue had increased 40%. Not because he worked more hours, because he worked from a different consciousness. The 6 days became more fruitful because the 7th day reprogrammed his mind from scarcity to abundance. Some would call that coincidence, but David knew better. He said, Rabbi, on Shabbat I practice being wealthy. I act like provision is guaranteed, and during the week that becomes my default. I don't chase from fear anymore. I create from confidence. Let me tell you about Rachel. She's 68 years old, living on Social Security and a tiny pension. $1,400 a month. Terrified every month, skipping meals to save money, lights off to save electricity. Always worried, always calculating, always afraid. I taught her the Shabbat principle. I said, you may not be able to stop working, but you can stop the scarcity consciousness for 25 hours. You can practice abundance even on limited income. Every Friday night she set her table with her best dishes, dishes she'd been saving for special occasions that never came. She lit candles. She bought a small challah bread and a tiny bottle of wine. Cost her $8. She blessed them as if she were wealthy. She thanked God for abundance even when the bank account showed $47. For 25 hours, she refused to worry about money. She refused to calculate. She refused to fear. Within 4 weeks, she received a phone call from an insurance company. There was a settlement from an old claim she'd filed and forgotten about years ago. The company had been trying to reach her. $8,000. Enough to cover 6 months of expenses comfortably. Coincidence? No. Spiritual law. She changed her consciousness. Reality followed. She stopped operating from lack. Provision found her. Now let me tell you exactly how to apply this, because understanding doesn't change anything. Application does. Step 1. Friday preparation. Before sunset Friday, prepare. Set your table. Get your best dishes, not the everyday ones, the good ones. Buy wine and bread. It doesn't have to be expensive. Even $5 wine and a small loaf work. The point isn't the cost. The point is the statement. I have enough to celebrate. I have enough to honor this moment. Step 2. Enter Shabbat consciousness. At sunset Friday, light candles if you're able. As you light them, speak this declaration. I am entering the consciousness of abundance. For the next 25 hours, I live as if all my needs are met. I rest from striving. I trust provision. I receive. Step 3. Bless the wine. Hold the cup. Say this. Blessed are you, God, who creates abundance in my life right now. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Feel that, let it settle, present tense, right now. Step 4. Bless the bread. Hold the bread. Say this: Blessed are you, God, who brings forth provision from the earth continuously, not once, not occasionally, continuously, always. Believe it as you say it. Step 5. Live in abundance. For 25 hours, refuse scarcity thoughts. When worry comes about bills, say, not today, today I rest in abundance. When anxiety comes about money, say, not today, today I trust provision. Don't work, don't check your bank account, don't stress about Monday, don't calculate, don't fear. Live as if you're already wealthy. Step 6. Close Shabbat with declaration. Saturday evening when Shabbat ends, speak this: I carry this abundance consciousness into the new week. The rest reprogrammed my mind. The trust repositioned my spirit. I work from fullness, not from lack. Here's what's critical. This only works if you actually stop. If you keep your phone on, checking email, answering work calls, worrying about Monday, you're still in scarcity consciousness. The stopping is what creates the shift. The ceasing is what reprograms. The rest is what produces. You cannot do this once and expect everything to change. This is a practice. This is training. Do this for 12 weeks. Every Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. No exceptions. By week 4, you'll notice less anxiety during the week. By week 8, you'll notice better financial decisions. By week 12, you'll notice provision flowing differently. Opportunities you weren't chasing will find you. Solutions you weren't forcing will appear. Resources you weren't manipulating will show up. Let me tell you what to expect week by week, because knowing the process helps you stay consistent. Week 1, it will feel awkward. You'll feel guilty for resting. You'll feel like you should be working. That's scarcity consciousness resisting. Push through. Weeks 2 through 4. You'll start feeling genuine peace on Shabbat, but anxiety will return hard on Sunday. That's normal. The old consciousness is fighting back. Keep going. Weeks 5 through 8. The peace will start extending into Monday, then Tuesday. You'll notice you make better decisions early in the week. You'll feel less desperate, less reactive, more grounded. Weeks 9 through 12. Your entire approach to money will shift. You'll stop chasing from fear. You'll create from confidence. You'll notice provision coming through unexpected channels. You'll make decisions from abundance, not desperation. So here's what we've covered today. Modern wealth teachers are discovering what Jews have practiced for 3,000 years. 1 day a week of abundance consciousness reprograms the other 6 days. Shabbat isn't just about resting your body. It's about resting in provision. It's about ceasing striving and entering trust. When you stop trying to control, manipulate, and force for 25 hours and enter the consciousness that everything is already provided, you change the frequency at which you operate financially. This isn't superstition. This is spiritual law. This is encoded in the 4th commandment given at Sinai. This is what your ancestors knew. This is what kept Jewish families financially resilient through exile, persecution, and poverty for millennia. You have everything you need right now. The prayer is ancient. The principle works. The practice is simple. The only question is, will you trust it for 12 weeks? Will you set aside Friday evening to Saturday evening? Will you stop striving 1 day a week? Will you live in abundance consciousness even when the bank account shows lack? Will you practice being wealthy before the wealth manifests? If yes, type "I claim abundance" in the comments right now. When you write that, you're making a covenant. Share this with someone who's been working hard but seeing little return. They need this. Subscribe because I'm revealing more Torah secrets that modern teachers are rediscovering and charging thousands to teach. May you enter the rest that brings provision. May your table always be set. May abundance consciousness become your default setting. May the 6 days flow from the 7th. May your work be blessed because your rest is sacred. May you prosper not through painful toil, but through divine blessing. May Shabbat reprogram what the world programmed wrong. Your soul is the blueprint. Your life is the construction. Shalom, my friend.